Yes people, what is happening? Welcome to the video today. Right, we're going to be running through the third instalment of the making of series, where if you don't already know and you haven't watched my previous videos, it's where I go about making, showing you how I make my music from start to finish. So the composition, the mixing, the mastering, everything start to finish. This is amazing for anyone getting into music production. Very insightful, hopefully quite entertaining as well. And yeah, we're going in with my song Dubplate 98, which come out on my label December of last year, I believe. Blinding song, amazing bit of work, something that I'm very proud of, as always. And yeah, we're going in today. And don't forget, for this whole month, for the whole month of February, I'm offering a 20% discount on all of my one-to-one lessons with clients. So make sure you hit me up in the DMs and we'll get your music to the next level that it deserves to be, so you can get your music signed. And yeah, let's go. Let's get into it. Yes people, getting straight into the video now. I'm going to run the song through. Anything that comes in alright that I feel like is worth explaining, I will break it down and show you exactly how it's been done. So, starting off with the intro and the drums. Right, so these drums are classy. I've used a lot of 909s. I've taken a lot of inspiration from UK garage in the 90s, like Tough Jam with the skip, with the 16D swing that is on the drums. And I'm going to get straight into it. So on the kick drum here, we've got a 909 kick, but it's one that I've honed and crafted over the years, and it's called the CHARLO Kick 2020, right? And I've put it into the Native Instruments battery sampler. I love this sampler, especially for drum, because you've got a lot of parameters on here that you can tweak. For example, you've got a transient, either master or transient marker. I think it's a transient master, where if you've got a snare or any drum that could do with some extra attack, punch, or whatever you want to do to it, to craft it, you can obviously, I haven't got it on this particular kick drum because obviously it's been processed over the last couple of songs, so I've got it to how I want it to sound. But yeah, listen to this, right? That's the normal kick drum. And then say if we want to put the attack and punch up a lot and get it to be really punchy, like it just does wonders for anything you put in there. So yeah, that's the Native Instruments battery, and then I've got it going into an EQ, Pro EQ, the FabFilter Pro Q3, amazing EQ, because we've got a parameter down here which allows you to select the percentage that it's affecting the sound. So when you first start out, it's going to be on 100%. So you do your EQ and you do your cutting, you do your boosting. For example, here I've cut at 30, I've boosted slightly at 60 or 59 Hertz, and also boosted at 157 because there was obviously some nice tones there that I wanted to bring out in the mix. So when you've got it at 100%, then what you do is you bring the parameter back down to 0 and then slowly fade it up until you get the sound that you wanted. I believe my sound was 64 or 68. I ain't got a clue, I can't remember. But yeah, so then you slowly fade it up. Until you get your desired sound. And now we're going into a compressor, it's the FabFilter Pro C2. Now, with this kick drum, it's got a bounce to it. So it goes. Them extra notes that are on the kick, they was fucking the limiter up on when it got round to mastering. I couldn't, like, the song was lovely and bouncy and it was sounding good. But then all of a sudden, them other kicks would just jump out. So I needed a compressor to tame them. Because a lot of the times when you're putting compressors on kicks, you might want to boost it up and beef it up. but this was the complete opposite. I wanted to tame the kick. So I just went through here, I flicked, what I usually do is I go through the presets, because the presets are there for a reason. So I went through the presets, found this attack enhancer, and then just tamed it to my liking. And again, an amazing thing with the FabFilter plugins, you've got the percentage that you can mix it in. So this thing's only going at 26%. So, you know, it's just like, it's almost like a parallel compression where you've got the dry signal, and then you've got the little percentage that you're bringing up. An amazing feature with all of these plugins. I swear by it, and I really, really like the way it sounds. Getting into it, mate. So the next thing on the cards, I will just solo the drums. You've got the hats. So as you can see, the way I've got this sound is by using the 16D swing. Even though it's not coming up, it is in fact it's the 16D swing. And I've just done that on all of my drums and created a pattern. What's really giving the drums the skippiness are these closed hats here. Right, so they're running throughout the whole track. Nothing mental, just a bit of EQing, cutting off the bottom end and boosting the top end slightly. But this little pattern here is what is giving the whole song the groove. And then obviously layering that up with the rest of the music. Let me just isolate the others as well for you so you can hear. Now I lay on my drums a lot. So for example there you've got I believe two or three open hi-hats. I think I've got 3 claps, so this is 1 clap here. Right, so that is a rude drum pattern going on there. And what I also do is say, I've got these open hats here, I will bust them. So if you've got say 3 hi-hats that you want to process as one also at the end of it, I will put them into a hi-hat bus, or put the claps into a clap bus, or the snares into a snare bus, and I will do some processing on them all together, just to glue them together a little bit to get the right sound. But that is pretty much what is happening with the drums. Right, so moving forward now, the next step in the song that was also coming in with the intro is this little pad here. Now this originally was a loop, and it was a straight loop, but what I've done is I've cut the transients, and so for example here, if I was to drag it out, this is the loop, right? This was the original loop. This is going to be a very, very informative one for you lot. Right, so as you can tell, that is straight, and our song is in a 16D skip swing, yeah? So I've done 2 things here. So what you need to do to start off with, you need to cut the transients as like so on each one. There's probably a much quicker way to do this, but I'm a little bit of a dinosaur. But I do get the job done, alright? So what you do, you want to mark all the transients, and then what I thought was it would sound quite cool if it was coming out of a left and right speaker. So then I've duplicated the channel, and I've dragged this one down here and done that throughout and created a loop. And then what I've done is, because otherwise it just sounds straight still. Do you understand me? So then what I've done to create that skippiness is I've highlighted, because the second note here is always going to be the skipped one. The second note is always the skipped. I've highlighted it, gone up to here, and where it says quantize, I've gone 16D swing, quantize, and then what you are left with is a little masterpiece really. It sounds really, really, really good. Just in the background, if you're making that melodic minimal sound, it's a blinder. So that's one of my top tips in the whole of the video, I would say. A very, very good thing for you lot to learn. And now we're going to move into the rest of the production and into the bass line and all the juicy bits that you lot want to know. Right, so this is like the intro going into the first drop. There's a lot of things coming in now. You've got pads, you've got vocals, you've got good stuff coming in, so I'm going to break it all down for you. You've got bass line as well. So here... Right, that is the nuts, that sound. I love that sound. That is a sound from Arturia. I've been really getting on well with the Arturia plugins lately. This is the Modular V. It's just a preset that I've obviously then taken and crafted to get the sound that I wanted, because you know a lot of the time it's not going to have the right cut off, and you might want to add a bit of resonance or whatever, the delay times, whatever it is. Yeah, you're going to need to go in sometimes and you know learn the synth and get it to your taste and to your liking. But that's an amazing sound, and what I've got on that is just an EQ. I'm just taking off 30 Hz of the bass and then just taking off some of the higher, yeah, just some of the higher frequencies that I didn't really need. And then what else have I got coming in? I believe I've got this pad, which is just the whole theme and the whole energy I wanted behind this song was just 90s. Like you'll hear when it drops, I've taken a lot of inspiration from jungle. Some of the vocal stabs and the vocal, everything about this song, it sounds like someone's made it from that era of garage and then thrown a bit of jungle in there. So that was my vision for this record. So moving forward now. Right, so there's a nice little M1 organ there. For all of you that will obviously watching this video will recognise that sound. Prolific throughout house music. From a Korg M1 originally, obviously I've got the synth here. Blind Art, it's called the Perk organ, right? I think there's loads of different variants, but I actually like the sound of this one better than any of the others. So I choose the Perk organ and then I've gone in with an EQ. Obviously, sometimes you want to keep some of the low end, but I've got so much going on in this song. Like there's about 60 or 70 tracks. So you know, I really didn't want to cut that mix up too much. So literally just EQ and a little bit of reverb. I've chose the Waves R-verb, really nice bit of reverb there. I think it's a Hall, should be a Hall. Yeah, it's a Hall. Yeah. And then just blend it in nicely. And then you've got the vocal, it goes, babe. Hold on. That's it. So that's just the snippet of the vocal sample. And then we're in to the drop, mate. You lot are gonna fucking love this one. Well, obviously you just the song's out, so you've heard it already, but I love it still. I still love it. Bare stuff coming in, bare stuff going on, right? So as you're coming into this little build here, what I do to, right, so say this is the song coming into the drop now. What I will typically do is I will duplicate the kick onto another channel and I will just take off 100 Hz or 80 Hz, 126 here, a bit excessive, but it sort of lets the listener know that something new is going to come in now, something new is coming. And on the drop, I've got a lot of things coming in. So for a start, I've got a siren coming in. All these little effects that obviously boost and give the song some energy. And this jungle sample, the blood clot sample, is like, I wanted that feel, I wanted that vibe, I wanted that gut, that, do you know what I mean? That just having it off vibe with the song, and all of the samples that I've incorporated really bring that out in the song. This is a blood clot sample. I don't know where it's from, but it's the bollocks. And I've put a H delay over it with the ping pong. Now, for those of you that don't know about this plugin, I use it on every song more or less, and it makes the delay bounce between left and right speaker. Amazing. I do like having that stereo thing in the songs. Yeah, it creates a nice little vibe going on there. And on the drop, mate, we got the re-space, which I'm going to go into now. It's probably the most sampled bass line throughout drum and bass and jungle to this day. And I've sampled the original re-space. So this re-space is probably about 20 years old, was probably recorded on a tape, so, you know, it's from a Ray Keith song, like, probably one of the biggest jungle tunes ever. And basically, it was really, really messy and muddy, as you can expect a sample like that to be. But when I went through and tried to put a sub underneath it and tried to the more, basically what I'm saying is, the more work that I've done on this bass line, the more I took away from it. Like, I took away from the character that it had. So in the end, after fucking about with the EQ and the compression and all that, do you know what I just done? I just put I don't know what you call that. Is it a higher pass? Anyway, I put one of them on and just left it because I liked the character, I liked the grittiness that was around that 100 hertz. You know, I just liked the character that the bass line brought in. But all I have done is put a sidechain compressor, obviously for the kick, because if you're not compressing it, you need to do something so that it's not conflicting with the kick. But yeah, Blinder, amazing. Right, so them chops, I just chopped for the vocal here. I got the. You make me feel so real, you make me feel so right. So this little bit here. So basically that there is just, again, just me taking my inspiration from people like Tough Jam back in the day. That was the game then, like UK Garage, you'd always hear a nice little vocal chop in there. And I think it suits the song very nicely, if I do say so myself. But yeah, going into it, man. I believe we've got something else here, you know. Oh yeah, listen, the white noise, yeah. So the white noise, I've used a lot of white noise in this tune. Hold on. Again, using the skip. So what I do is I make my chops and then I highlight them. You go into my menu and I always do quantize D. Whatever your song's quantized, you might have a straight song in this, you know, particular instance, but it does add an amazing little kick on the drop. You make me feel so real, you make me feel so right. Right, so this thing here is another example of me being creative, or how you can be creative at home with a loop, right? So this was a loop, it was quite similar, but what I've done this time is I have actually tried to record this video a few times and it hasn't let me do this part, but I'm going to show you what I've done. So imagine this here is the loop. What you would do is you would click on it, left click on it, and you go export as a MIDI. And then once you've done that and exported it as a MIDI, it will show up as something like this, in a certain order. Now all I've done here is just played notes and obviously swung it to 16D, and the results are amazing because it gives you total freedom over the notes that you're selecting. Obviously you making sure you're using a fairly good quality loop, but honestly it's an amazing way to use loops and make them your own and just not just settle in, because a lot of the time, you know, sometimes I'll get a loop and out of that whole drum loop or out of that whole thing I will use one little bit, but really being particular about what you're using, And obviously this being another strategy, it's a great way to complement. Look at the way it complements the bass line and everything. If I solo this. Yeah, do you understand? So it is it's a pucker bit of musicality that I've added in. Right, so here is like a step up. Like, I don't know if you've noticed with this song that every 16 bars there's a new bit of music, either musicality, drums, vocal, or energy coming into the song that is gonna make you like it's switching up all the time. Actually, a pal of mine actually said to me about this song. He goes, "Mate, you need to like tone it down a little bit. Like it's a bit too much." But obviously, I ended up just doing my thing with it. I thought I'm really happy with the way it's turned out, obviously, but I really wanted to keep it interesting. I really wanted to keep it evolving throughout the song. So now we've got stringing, we've got more of the vocal, and we've got a whole new pad section that is in the song that I'm going to show you. So the string being this. Just some mad little loop I've thrown in there. Right, I'm very sorry about that, people. My camera just ran out of battery then while I was filming. But listen, this part is probably the most gun fingers part of the whole song. It is the nuts, yeah? So what I've done here is I've switched the respace up to a different pattern. So I will show you what I've done here. So instead of it going, it now goes, yeah, so just again a slight little change, and then I've stripped, as I've gone into the different reese pattern, I've stripped it of all musicality and come in with a siren and a chopped, so the same blood clot sample from before, but this time I've chopped it. So it sounds even more tear out and even more fuck up, like ruder. I don't even know what the word would be, but it goes off, yeah. And then I've added a siren underneath it. So a way to break up, a way to go into the next set of 16 bars. Sometimes you might get bored of using snares or crashes. In this particular case, I thought, you know what, I need to throw something else in there to spice it up a little bit. And I've used some scratches, two different types of scratches. One is a very, both sampled from a vinyl, but one is very straight, like, and then the other one's like, I don't even know what you'd call the other one, but they complement each other really well, going into the next set of bars. You make me feel so real, you make me feel so right. Right, another thing that I would like to run past here is the ever-changing organ in the song. So I don't know if you've noticed, but as the song progresses, the organ pattern has been changing slightly. So here it sounded like. So that is obviously part of the plan, part of the vision, to keep the song constantly evolving. So we're now coming into the breakdown, the big breakdown, and the final drop, and the massive drop at the end. I just want you to listen to how this is sort of, this is like sort of a mini crash course in itself about writing music and writing melodies. Because when you're writing melodies, you really want everything to complement each other and everything to bounce off each other. It's I see, not that I'm even in the same league and ballpark as Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is a composer and he writes films. He's done films like Batman, Interstellar. An incredible person. He's a ridiculous. He's an incredible melody writer, obviously. And something that he said was, in one of his videos that I watched, it's like you're creating a question and then an answer. I don't really think of it like that because I've been very blessed to have the ability to write melodies quite naturally. Like, it comes easily to me. I've grown up in a very musical family, and it does come easy to me. But if you're trying to get your head around that, it's like you have one thing, which is maybe the question, and the other's the answer, or it really needs to complement and bounce off each other. So here is the organ bouncing off the bass line. So the way that they complement each other is amazing. Very, very happy with the way that turned out. But obviously you take that into consideration and maybe try and put that into some of your own productions. And then last but not least, we're going into the final breakdown now. This is the big breakdown. So again, whenever I'm breaking the song down, I'm putting the kick over to the duplicated kicks where I've chopped off 100 hertz just to give it that, tone it down a little bit. And then also I believe I've come in with some effects and some other musicality just coming in nicely, as you'll be able to hear now. Right, so for the breakdown, I wanted it to be really stripped down and just, you can't go, listen to me. If you're making any sort of music, I will tell you right now, and this is a statement that I know is to be true, you cannot go wrong with a string. You can never go wrong with a high string. It is one of the most classiest things that you can do, and very, 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 very simple. Obviously, it's one note, right? It's one note, and it's just obviously you're going to want to play the root key of your song. So if your key's in A minor, if your key's in D or whatever, you want to play that, and it is just amazing. For this particular string, I have used it in Logic ones. I've thought about upgrading, but to be honest with you, they do sound nice. The cellos sound lovely in the Logic one. So for the time being, I am quite happy using these. But obviously, like everything else, you do get what you pay for. So I will be upgrading mine very, very soon. Just when the fire's hot, the passion is. Got to stop and see it's time to take these chains off me. Take a second just to see why I had to set you free. You make me feel so real, make me feel so right. going on here. On the final drop, I've got everything coming in. I've got the organ, I've got the final organ pattern, I've got the sirens, I've got the vocal, I've got all of the bass lines, I've got all of the drums coming in, I've got all of the effects. I just wanted it to be everything. So it's like a build up from start, and it just sizzles up there on the breakdown and into everything. But probably the final thing that I would like to show you lot today in this video is the way that I've done the build up, the way that I've chopped and used the Yolanda a cappella that I've used, and also something called a dread vocal from Jungle, right? You may have heard this from, you know, a lot of the garage songs. Yeah, so that classic tear out sound. I put that in there. I've put CLA vocals on it. I've put H delay, and I've put a gain on there. Now, what I'm doing is I'm having that filtered up. It's almost like an effects. It's like a homemade effects, but it's filtering up before the drop, and it gives it that extra bit of like gasness that you want in the song. And then for this bit, I've got it laid with this. To see why I had to set you free. Right, so as far as production is concerned, I believe that is a wrap. I mean, the only thing that I've done here going forward is arrangement, and that's not really something that, you know, I've gone through the arrangement on this block. I've literally copied that and pasted it over there, but with the added elements. Now, what I will run through is the master. I have mastered this song myself. I master 90% of the songs myself. Sometimes, as some of you know, I've got an alias, a drum and bass alias. Now, that is a sound that I'm still trying to get my head around. I believe that I've got a very good sound in-house, but obviously I'm still trying to get my head around that incredible sound that they get in the drum and bass scene. So I mix everything myself, but I do, yesterday, me and my partner sent something off to get mastered by a fella called Blade Runner, who has done a remix of our song, Everything, which is coming out in March. On D&B All Stars label. Massive record, very, very proud of that song. Everyone involved is really happy about the way that's gone down. But this Blade Runner fella, he's he's somebody that has mastered that sound, so I will send it to him and he will master. He'll just do me a stereo master. But yeah, so I'm gonna run through the mastering on this song with you. First of all, I've got it going into an EQ. I don't believe I've got much. Basically, with EQing, you're just taking away resonance, really, and you're just boxing it off. As you can see here, I've took the resonance away at 7,000. I've took resonance away from 3,319 hertz, which that is a problematic area. If you listen. So, you know, just harmful frequencies that are going to annoy your ear for long periods of time. I've boxed it off at 21k, boxed it off at 30, and then I'm going to a multi-band compressor, the FabFilter multi-band. I've just selected a preset that I like, and then again, what I always do, I mix it in. So this is only at 24%. What I do tend to do with mastering is I might use 3, sometimes even 4 compressors, but those compressors will be doing a tiny bit. So I won't be smashing it, I won't be tearing the arse out of it. The fader won't be... That's, as you can see there, the fader is not going past 4. I'm only reducing by, say, 1.5, 2 decibels, but I use a few compressors. On this particular song, I've used 3 compressors. I've got the multi-band and I've got 2 SSLs, and altogether it gives it a really nice little polished sound. Now, a lot of people are going to have something to moan about in the comments. I've not got the bass or the I've not got the low end in mono because I felt like it took away from the character of the Reese bass. Now, in dance music and in a lot of, you know, every other genre, it is a known fact that you need to have your bass in mono. I understand that, I know that, but it's my music and I'll do whatever I want because I've played it out in a club and it sounds the bollocks. So I can do them ones there. But obviously keep in mind on your song that you should have your bass in mono. But again, I really didn't want to ruin the character of that Reese bass. It was just so, it was so fucked up that I just wanted to keep it that way because it preserved the character of the bass. So with that said, the last and final plugin on the agenda for this video is going to be the FabFilter Pro Limiter 2. Incredible limiter. I use the Pro L1 or the L, which is the Pro L. I selected the loud general purpose limiting preset, and I've played about with the transients and the lock heads. And here you can select what type of limiting you want, like all round, where it focuses on the whole mix, dynamic, which will make the mix more, sound less squashed. You've got all different presets, and I've took it up to 10.3. I don't know whether this is the actual final one. I think I've reverted and gone back to a few different ones, but yeah, that's it. I'm not going to turn the limiter on because it will sound more muffled and like distorted over once this is uploaded to YouTube and the social media. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with the way this song turned out. Yeah, it's an excellent bit of work, and I'm very glad that I've been able to show you lot and give you lot an insight on how I've made it and how I've what's been the vision with it and how it's come about. So without what's the word? What would I say for a good outro? So without further ado, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that all the people's watching this are going to take something away from it. And do not forget, for the rest of the month of February, I am offering 20% off of all mixing, all mastering, and all of my one-to-one lessons. So if you want to up your game and you want to become your greatest version in music, then get hold of me, send me a DM, and we can do some excellent work together. Thank you so much. Leave me a nice comment, leave me a like, and be sure to stay tuned for the videos coming up in the future. See you later. Nice one.